Welcome back to Alaska's Political Insider. We're here talking to Antonio Garcia, our Kodiak boy who's down in LA kicking it in the streets. So tell us more about film distribution, because this is a topic that we haven't discussed thus far. A lot of people think you make a film and then it magically appears on TV or on the screen. Absolutely not. No way. So film distribution, first off, is a very, very, very small group. Very, very small group. You look at Warner, Fox Searchlight, Sony, Weinstein Company, everything. It's a very, very small group, and they've been owners of their companies for years. Everybody knows everybody. So for you to be a first-time filmmaker and just go and, hey, here's my film, it doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes even depending on the film, first off, you have to know what your film is. What your film is. Is it in my best interest to hire, say, a producer's representative or a sales agent to properly represent my film and go after these distribution companies and ensure a distribution deal? Or should I take a different route, which is actually going through the film festival route and praying that Scout's going to find it, love it. The Scout is going to find it and say, hey, let's represent this, or let's get it a deal. But sometimes if you do that, depending on your film, it actually loses the equity and the stock of the film. Let's say you have a film that's out and doing the film festival circuits for 9 months and anybody's seen it. You think people want it? Probably not. Everyone said no. HBO doesn't want it. Showtime doesn't want it. TNT doesn't want it. Why should I have it? So it's good to have a good in or a good representative to negotiate and segue into the distribution field, into the distribution arena. And I highly recommend someone like Jeff Porter at Porter Pictures. He's a beast at it. He's very new, but he's a beast, and he's done incredible things. He's someone that I've worked with. Now, tell me, how do you get to be a representative of films and what those people do? First I started off as a film scout, so I went in and I did some traveling. I checked out film festivals, and I saw what the markets were, how people go in there. Let me back you up a little bit. And you got paid good money to sit in a theater all day, look at films, decide what you liked, and that was your job. My job was they sent me around. It was exactly that. They sent me around. I watched movies. I got to mingle with producers, writers, everybody. There are all these mothers right now who are so happy going, my teenage son has a chance. So with a film scout, you have to have incredible poise, though. Incredible poise. You have to have a strong, you are a reflection upon the company you represent. Company you're representing, so you have to be on your A game. Because those filmmakers, some are divas, some are absolute divas, and others are like, please take my film, I'll buy you whatever you want. So you have to have a good balance. But that's how I started. And then to answer your question, I went into, I was an acquisition executive with Porter Pictures. So then my job was to, okay, this film, there's no way we can represent this film. It has no budget, the quality is bad, the acting, whatever reason it may be. So what we do is we kind of filter out what films are good in the marketplace and ones that maybe aren't right now. Right. And you also, I would imagine, would know basically what the schedules are for the different outlets and whether or not this particular product's going to fit in? Yes. If you take someone like I was saying, Jeff Porter, now he's developed great relationships with distribution companies. So HBO, for example, has their slate for 2013, 2014, and parts in the first quarter of maybe 2015. So let's say they have something political, something happens, and now they're calling up Porter Pictures saying, hey, do you have any material that is political? Do you have any material that is aliens? Do you have any material that's zombies? We're looking for something to fill this little pocket in. So sometimes the distribution companies call the sales agents or producers or producer representation companies looking for new material. So if you have individuals that have those great relationships, it's in the bag. It's canned. It's good to go. It's a done deal. Because they have, but it sounds to me like much like things are in Alaska, all that relationship building takes time. It does take time. It does take time, but you have to be completely honest with your word, because when you hit into a market like Los Angeles where there's hundreds of millions of dollars at stake, or at least the potential of making hundreds of millions of dollars, you don't mess around. You're messing with people's lives here. With people's lives, their careers, you can destroy everything. So you have to do it. You have to get someone that is very honest with and truthful with your product, with your film, or with your pilot, or whatever you have. No, I've never sold a film, but I did have a book. Is it getting an agent that way to represent you for distribution very similar? I was going to say very, very identical. Very, very close to that.
So that can't be that hard. Then you got a product they like, they usually take it and say, great, wonderful, let's move forward. Now, if you're looking to get into that industry, if you want to be a representative, how do you go about doing that? That's a job in the film industry a lot of people don't consider.
It is. It is something that I think it's kind of a hidden gem, if you will. Most people don't really think about that. They don't really think about how maybe there's actually, in fact, a middleman. And if they want to get into it, I would go at the source. It just depends on kind of where you are, but also what skills that you have. I mean, if you have difficulty talking to people, talking to people in crowds, speaking, it may not be the best thing.
Right.
So I would say start off and
be an intern or something and figure out how you fit in.
Yes.
We've got to take another commercial break. Stick with us. We'll be right back with Antonio Garcia in just a moment.
It was a dream that I've had since I've been a little girl.
That I'm doing something none of my family has ever been able to accomplish in their life.
But I want to like what I do with my life.
Choose a better future today.
I couldn't think of anything I wanted to do more, and I'm doing it right now.
Charter College. Change your life. Start here.
In Alaska, we like to stop and take in the beauty that surrounds us, but we also like to get things done. That's why Alaska Communications is bringing a 4G LTE network to Alaska. A network that helps Alaskans do everything faster so they have more time to slow down. Alaska Communications. To us, Alaska is the most important place on Earth. This holiday season, get 1 month free when you sign up for wireless service or home internet. Stop by your local store or sign up at alaskacommunications.com.
Wim Hof stays warm using what he calls his mental thermostat. He has spent years perfecting it. At Columbia, we spent years perfecting this. We call it Omni-Heat Reflective. It uses little silver dots to reflect your heat back to you. It also breathes so you don't overheat. We're told he breathes too. Sometimes. Omni-Heat Reflective. Keep your warmth, not your sweat.
Sweeney's, quarter mile from the Y in Savannah.
ABC Alaska Networks statewide and Westmark Hotels would like to salute our brave service members who can't be home for the holidays.
Hi, we are the young family stationed in Baumholder, Germany, and we want to wish a very Merry Christmas to all of our family in Wasilla, Alaska. Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas!
From all of us here at ABC Alaska Networks statewide, this holiday season, our hearts are with our heroes.
WWE SmackDown is coming to the Sullivan Arena January 17th. The Peanut Farm and the Army National Guard want to make you part of the action. Go to the farm from now until December 23rd and enter to win a private meet and greet for 10 with WWE superstars. Also, join the Army National Guard at the Peanut Farm on Sunday the 23rd from 3:30 to 4:30 and bring a gift to donate to the charity Tweens to Teens. First 10 people that bring a gift get a pair of tickets for free to the WWE. Go to YourAlaskaLink.com for more.
Welcome back. We're talking with Antonio Garcia on how Alaska is trying to drive the film industry and get it going here. We've got film tax incentives. One of the problems that I have heard is that we don't have depth on the bench. How can Alaskans, if they're really interested in being in this growing film industry, prepare themselves to project the best possible image when these outsiders come into town and look at hiring?
That's kind of hard to answer because there are so many variables, there's so many factors in that. You have a financial factor, you have an emotional factor, you have a material factor, you also have a factor in your personnel and the crew that you're hiring. So there's a lot of factors on where you want to go and who's getting hired on what end. So I mean, just the film itself on how can we be more incorporated with other states like Atlanta, or even compete with Atlanta or Chicago or Detroit or New York or Miami or whoever.
How about just New Orleans? I'd be happy we compete with New Orleans or get a percentage of their business.
Louisiana has a great tax incentive too, but that's not where the buck doesn't just stop there. There's a lot more you have to take into consideration. And if Alaska wants to compete on that level or be on that level, there's a lot of little things that we're going to have to change and make adjustments to actually hit that spot. There's a lot.
What are some advices you can offer on how to get this ball rolling? I mean, it's got to be more than just the accountant looks and goes, yeah, Alaska, this makes sense in terms of dollars, tax incentives. I know that, for example, there's a problem because they have to ship all the equipment up here and keep it up here and then ship it all back, and so the rental rates are pretty extreme because we just simply don't have,
honestly,
equipment here.
Honestly, from what I've seen, I think that it starts within the person. I think it absolutely starts within the person, because if you look at even the culture differences between Chicago and Atlanta or Los Angeles and an Anchorage, they're vastly different. So even New York and LA, when they do business with each other, it's entirely different just because of how we conduct business, that person. So here in Anchorage, I would say that you have to, it sounds almost spiritual in a way, but you have to look within yourself. You have to look within, what is it within me that I'm putting out that's making people say yes or no? What's my behavior? How am I making them feel? Do I have all my ducks in order? Do I have all my budgets in order, everything in order, but this particular investor or this filmmaker or this studio or whoever just does not feel comfortable with me as a person, they don't trust me, that's not going to go anywhere. So it stops within you. And I think that what's helped me in my career as an acquisition executive, even as a film scout, even when I was doing in the fitness field, I was closing at very, very high percentages with everything and anybody because of how I conducted myself. And
you got training for that, though.
I just got my advanced certification in NLP, in neuro-linguistic programming. And that's something that, look at someone like Tony Robbins. Everybody's heard of him. Very huge, very in-demand successful success coach. Worked with athletes, with politicians, with filmmakers, with celebs.
Successful career.
A lot. So let's say you're a real estate agent, or you're a manager at a fitness club, or you're a filmmaker. And you have these issues, personal issues, that maybe they don't come up in your life. Maybe, or they haven't dealt with them in your life, excuse me. You haven't dealt with in your life. And they come up in a lot of very, very weird ways. So to have someone that's an NLP coach to come in and eradicate a lot of these problems, you are at a higher being, you're at a higher state. You are far more efficient. Say that real estate agent has maybe 20 listings a month, and they only close maybe 5 or 6 or 7. With NLP training, they could be closing maybe, let's say, 15. So what does that do to your income? What does that do to your confidence? What does that do to your relationships with your family, with yourself, with everything?
Not to mention your relationship in the industry. Suddenly you're the guy who's closing everything, so you're the go-to guy.
So, and going back into film with NLP, you have, say, for me as an NLP practitioner, going and helping with a screenwriter or a model or an investor. So you teach them. You can even tell if someone is audio, digital, kinesthetic, visual, just by looking at them within 30 seconds. And right there, if I can see that through your eye movements, through your physicality, through your tonal inflections, through everything, and I could see how you operate, how your mind operates, I'm at a better position to
explain things to you the way
you
need to
explain,
understand
to influence, and to inspire you to do action, to inspire you to maybe sign up on this deal, inspire you to, here, let's make this deal with this with this project, or let's close in on the house, or let's get you going with your goals and losing 30 pounds.
Yeah, it sounds like it could go a lot of different directions.
There's a ton of different directions we can go to, and here in Alaska, I'm only here for 90 days. So I could only work with people for these 90 days, and I'd love to work with anybody. But if you look at people who are heavily, heavily trained in NLP,
they're very successful. Like
Bill Clinton, Obama, Ronald Reagan, Celine Dion, Richard Branson, Oprah.
Yeah.
So these people are, even the British government uses NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, on their soldiers when they come back from war. Now, that's credible within itself.
Gotta love it. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll have to have you back on again.
Absolutely.
Stick with us. We'll be right back in just a moment with Deborah Brolini and Thoughtful Thursday.